Hello, welcome to Confident You Radio. This is Janet Schoen, and I am looking forward to speaking with Julie today.
Welcome to Casa de Confidence, a podcast for you. You'll hear some incredible women
and some awesome, cool dudes
going confidently in the direction of their dreams and living in the purpose of their heart.
You're our host,
Julie DeLucca-Collins, and you are our sidekick. Hashtag handsome hot husband.
That again.
And the producer of the show.
That I am.
I am an author, speaker, coach, dreamer, and most of all,
we help people go in the direction of their dreams
and support them on their purpose. So pull up a chair,
grab a drink,
and make yourself at home because our casa
is your casa. Welcome back, or welcome to Casa de Confidence. This is Dan.
And this is Julie.
Julie, my beautiful wife.
Oh, Daniel, my handsome husband. Hashtag handsome hot husband.
And you're the amazing host of Casa de Confidence.
And you're the amazing producer of Casa de Confidence.
Oh my God, this is just a goofy love fest right now.
Listen, people are going to wonder what we've been doing.
What are you drinking, Julie?
Well, water. I was very dehydrated about an hour ago.
I just realized I could hear my mouth in the microphone.
Yeah.
So I took a drink and now it's gone.
Where did you get that sparkling water from?
The refrigerator.
You know, your wife likes to drink sparkling water too.
I know. She should drink it before I get to it.
Why is it? But you're pounding them like they're like going out of style.
At least I'm not drinking soda.
You are correct. You can drink all the sparkling water you want. Dan.
You know, we had the same conversation at the start of the podcast last week.
We did?
Yes, we did.
Oh my gosh. Are you? No, we did not.
Yes, we did.
Ugh.
We're starting to show our age.
Listen, I am a spring chicken.
You know, what's that outside?
What? You mean what's outside?
Do you see it?
No.
I was just wanted to see. It was an age check to see if you were going to be concerned with what was outside the window.
I was about to stand up. Well, listen, I thought maybe the delivery man was bringing my Amazon order.
You have an Amazon order?
Perhaps.
I
think so.
Trying something
Actually,
not new?
No. You know what? I do have an Amazon order that is missing in action.
Do you do?
I do. I looked at it because I'm like, that thing hasn't arrived. Where is it? And then I went and I looked in Amazon and I said, where is my order? And it says it was delivered on the 5th and it was left outside.
Ooh, maybe I got it.
Yeah. Where is it?
What was it?
It's my cleanser, my cleansing balm for my face.
Cleansing
to
balm.
Melt away my makeup.
I don't recall any cleansing balm coming in.
Well, it's rather disturbing because,
was there a picture?
Was it a pic? Yeah, there's a picture of it outside.
Mm-hmm. I probably grabbed it then.
Someone grabbed it, but I don't have it.
Maybe a dog ate it.
Really, Dan? No, that's not how it would work.
I have an order coming from Amazon too, but...
Yeah, I see. Like, I don't even understand. Arlene and I were talking about this yesterday.
This copper.
I said, I don't understand half the stuff that is on my Amazon cart here. Like copper, and then there's like...
The screws,
and then some MDD, HGST, He10. I don't know what that is.
I didn't buy that, though.
What is that?
I just looked at that. It's all computer stuff.
It says delivered August 3rd.
Well, that's the hard drive.
Why do you need another hard drive?
Because one failed.
Why do you have a failure in your hard drives? I don't understand. Did you not build this?
That's why I set up the hard drives properly. So if one fails, I don't lose any data. All I got to do is replace it, and the data's all still there.
And why would it fail? I don't understand.
Because hard drives fail. They're mechanical. It happens.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Okay. Whatever. Whatevs. What can I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and then there's like this candy red. Oh, that's what you did for my microphone.
Yeah. Now, what's this candy red paint? Oh,
candy red paint.
That's how I made your microphone look.
That's how you made my microphone. Okay, got it. Oh, you know what we should have ordered is dog food.
Oh, what are these? Why did you buy these prunes?
Really, Dan?
What?
I like prunes.
You love prunes.
I love
you do
prunes.
now.
No, I've always loved prunes.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Julie was having a problem, so she bought prunes.
I'm of a certain age, I suppose. But listen, I do love prunes, and I never buy them because I end up eating them all in one sitting, and then then I really have a problem.
No longer have any problems.
Then I really have a problem. Oh.
That's funny.
Oh, did you not like prunes growing up?
I did not eat prunes.
Why?
My mom did.
Do you not like them?
I'm not a fan of dried fruit.
This is not dried fruit.
That's what a prune is.
It's delicious. It's
a prune
sweet.
A prune is to a plum what a raisin is to a grape.
Friends?
It's a
descendants?
It's a plum that's
so
been dehydrated.
Would you say, okay, so this is counterintuitive. Would you say that a raisin and a prune are descendants of a grape and of a plum, even though the descendants are a little wrinkly?
They're not descendants. They are plums and grapes that have been processed.
Aged. Or dehydrated. I don't know.
That's what I said. Dehydrated. Yes. Dehydrated.
Right. It's a lot of complications.
Well, there's a lot going on here. Julie.
What?
I hope we haven't lost everybody.
Well, you're the one who lost us with your mechanical things.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Janet Schoen. Oh, so how Janet shines on the podcast today.
Yes, she is. And
I think I said her name right. I'm sorry I wasn't there.
Okay, so she tells us how to say her name at the beginning of this episode.
So listen.
The one thing, so this episode, my friends, is an episode that we originally aired on the radio, on the Confident You radio. Mm-hmm. But I really love Janet, and she's a phenomenal woman. You know, she's done some incredible strides. She is what I would call a triumphant individual because her resilience is incredible. And where some of us, a lot of us have trauma. Most of us have one level of another trauma. But Janet actually shows us the strength of human spirit. She talked about and shared a little bit about her car accident and how that impacted her. Also, she was a mom raising kids. And when her kids left the nest, she redefined what she was going to do and how she was going to impact the world and use her gifts. She's a very spiritual woman. And again, her spirituality and the support of her husband were incredibly pivotal in her recovery. And now all other trauma survivors can leverage her expertise,
Cool. It's good to take, what you've been through and turn that into something to where you can be a resource for others.
Yeah. You know what that's called? Robin Roberts from Good Morning America is the first person I heard this from. And she says, make your mess your message. Isn't that good?
Oh, very good. I've heard it before.
You've heard it? Yeah, because you've heard it from me. I say it all the time.
Yeah, I've heard it from Robin Roberts too.
Yes, I first heard her say that when she shared that she had been diagnosed with myelodysplastic anemia, and she had to have what is that? Platelets? No.
Yeah.
What is that called?
Transfusion.
Yeah, she had to have.
Is that the correct thing?
No, it's not a transfusion.
But didn't your father have that also?
No, my dad had transfusions, but he was not a candidate. He also had myelodysplastic anemia, but
That's what I just said.
He was not a candidate for.
So didn't your dad have that? And you went, no.
No, well, you said
the thing he had, the treatment.
Robin Roberts,
I understand.
had.
I forget how your brain works sometimes.
Bone marrow transplant. That's what she had.
Yes,
my dad did not have that.
Got it.
I wanted to give him my bone marrow, and he was not a candidate for the surgery. And he also said he was not going to let me do that, even if I qualified and he qualified.
Got it.
So thanks a lot, Dad. You could have still been here, maybe. No, he wouldn't have, because it was a high risk surgery. And you know what? It's the way the world goes. God, that turned bad.
Wow.
I mean,
not bad. just went down a memory lane about something that affected your life and affected your father. And it's okay to go there.
Hey, someone interviewed me about my dad this week. I was interviewed for a podcast, and it really, like, I got really emotional. So it's maybe emotional time.
Maybe it is.
Maybe.
I'm sure you miss your dad.
I miss him every day, Daniel.
You know what the funny thing is? I was
What is the funny thing?
looking at your Amazon account.
You're looking at my Amazon account?
Our Amazon account.
Okay.
And I'm looking at my keyboard. I'm typing on my keyboard. And I realized that this keyboard was delivered on July 16th.
Because you got a fancy keyboard now. Yeah,
but July 16th is a big day in the life in our household because it's the day my father passed away.
Oh, and we're talking about my dead dad. Look at that.
This is just the whole thing.
Maybe your dad and my dad are hanging out. Do you think if your dad and my dad hung out, like, because I could think that my dad and your dad were a little different.
They'd have good conversations. So.
Yeah, but they wouldn't golf together, would they?
My dad didn't golf.
What would be one thing that your dad did that my dad would want to do?
See, I was 6 when my dad passed away. So, I mean, it's been many, many years. It was 1978 when my dad passed away. So,
I mean, did your dad like to gamble?
I mean,
maybe they would play cards.
My dad was not a gambler. No, he didn't do that. He'd play cards.
My dad would play cards with him.
So, I mean, would your dad go, tend the horses with my dad?
No. No. You mean my dad who would have custom-made shirts made for himself? No.
My dad wore Dickies.
Yeah.
That was his attire.
My dad.
I always remember he had Dickie pants and in the shirt.
For a New Eurekan born in the projects of Manhattan when there were projects back in the 1930s during the Depression. My dad was born and lived in the Upper West Side of Manhattan in the projects, and he wanted to pull himself out of that area, and he did.
Well, both your father and my father served in the military.
They did. My dad was in the Air Force.
My dad was in the Army.
And my dad was in Thule, Greenland.
My dad was in World War II.
So your
so
dad...
France and Germany.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. But so
my goodness.
They served at a different time. My father was
sure did.
a little older than
your
yours.
dad was as old as my grandfather. What year was your dad born?
1921.
Oh, okay. Not as old as my grandfather, but
he
maybe.
He was 50 years old when I was born. So.
Hey, that would be like us adopting a child now.
Actually, yes, you're right. It's only like 2 years different.
So what would it be like if we had a child today?
If we had a child today?
Yeah.
I don't know. If you were like giving birth right now today, we would be at the hospital. We wouldn't be recording a podcast.
No, listen to me. I saw a post by Hoda Kotb. Is that how you say her last name? And it was a beautiful picture of her with her daughters walking hand in hand. And it looked to be like a little Italian cobblestone street with a little outdoor market. And she was talking about how in her 50s, it was the best decade of her life because that's when she adopted her children. And that's when she got her dream job. And she started to really come into her own. And I was thinking like, I'm really coming into my own. I have my dream gig here. And I love the freedom that being my own boss affords me. I mean, there's a lot of challenges. Don't take me wrong.
Well, there's always me.
There's always you. And
you're
by the way,
supposed to say, you're not the boss of me.
Well, no, you're not the boss of me. I'm the boss of you. Let's just be clear.
You're not. Yeah, you're the boss of me.
Well, okay. Let's say, you are the chief person officer.
The chief person officer. I love that title. Can I get cards?
Sure. No, I don't know what your title should be. You're the tech officer?
Isn't it handsome hot husband?
Chief handsome hot husband? Oh, God. I'm getting a sight. Oh, my gosh. Okay, listen. No, but what I was saying is that I love the freedom. But then I thought,
freedom.
Really?
Sorry, I had a moment.
I've done some of, a lot of the what Hoda has gotten. And she was talking about, because it's her birthday, she's turning 60. And she was talking about how she thinks her 60s is going to be another better decade for her.
That's great.
And then I thought, what if I get a child now? I mean,
you have 3 of them.
3 dogs.
They're very furry.
Yeah. Hey, I was listening to this. I was watching this documentary on the minds of dogs.
Okay.
And first of all, did you know that they're 99%?
I hope everyone has their seatbelts on, because Julie's taking a turn.
They're 99% DNA from wolves.
Right.
I mean, like, I knew they were descended from wolves, but like to have 99%.
We share 99% DNA with chimpanzees.
Really, Dan? That's not the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It's the same number.
It is not. Where do you get that? First of all, I mean, you're talking evolution here.
Well, yes, exactly. Wolves and dogs. That's evolution. That's an accelerated evolution, actually.
First of all, let's not get into these controversial subjects that people, controverse about.
It's not 1950s where they won't let them talk about us being.
Listen, there's a lot of states where their books are being banned, where things are being done. You can't talk about certain things. Don't even get me started, because then I'm going to get a little passionate about this.
All right, I won't get you started, especially since it's only a couple minutes before our guest arrives.
Our guest is arriving?
Well, before the interview starts.
Oh, I thought we were having someone come over. I was about to go and do a mad cleanup.
So, Julie.
Yes, Daniel.
Tell us a little bit more about Janet Schoen in the next minute and a half that we have left.
I only have a minute and a half to talk about her. She's incredible. I love her.
Now you get a little less time.
Really? The thing is that she overcame brain trauma, and it takes a lot to overcome severe brain trauma. And in this episode with her, we really kind of deep dive into it. And by the way, this episode is not an evergreen, because we do talk about Christmas, but and just a reminder.
This was recorded last November.
But just as a reminder, December. Okay, for people who are listening, Christmas is going to be here before we know it, people. Mm-hmm. So if that is the case, I want to encourage the listeners to come and be a part of my Finish Strong, your end of the year roadmap session, which is coming up this August 15th at 1 p.m. I'm going to be talking about all the things that will help you finish this year strong. Because the reality is that, you know what? We all need to be able to have a plan, because if we don't have a plan, we plan to fail. So that's all I got for you, Dan.
That's all you got?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to make dinner for you.
Okay. I'll edit this up and you go make dinner, I guess.
Listen, finding your purpose through coaching and wellness is what Janet likes to do, and she's doing a great job of it. So go check her out and listen to this incredible episode, my friends.
All right. So enjoy this episode with Janet and Julie. Double J's.
Hi, everybody. We have another great guest for us today, and Janet is a trauma survivor, devoted wife, and mother of 3. After facing her own challenges and struggles to find her place in the world, she discovered the power of healing and embracing authenticity. As a best-selling author and certified coach, Janet is driven by her desire to help other trauma survivors and women facing life's hurdles. With her captivating storytelling and practical insights, she empowers listeners to find love, joy, peace, and fulfillment in their lives. Janet's ultimate goal is to continue inspiring others as a motivational speaker, building connections and spreading her message of transformation. Welcome, my friend Janet. How are you? I'm fantastic. We're less than 2 weeks to Christmas, and this is just like I'm vibing up really high right now. I love it. And by the way, that's exactly what you want to be doing at 3 p.m. on any given day. Be with someone who is vibing high so that you yourself kind of pep up. So I'm
Well,
excited. Thank you for being
yes.
here. Are you one of these giddy Christmas, I can't wait to decorate and let me just pull it out in October kind of people?
Yes, but I have guidelines that I have to live by. And so in like end of October, early November,
Mhm,
when it's still like a fairly warm day here in
mhm.
Ohio, because it's starting to, they'll kind of be hit and miss, but then all of a
Right.
sudden there'll be a nice day. Well, then my children, God love their souls, go outside and they put up the lights outside, but we're not allowed to turn them on. Like they're on switch and they're not allowed to, the switch is not allowed to be turned on till
Really?
Thanksgiving night. Thanksgiving night, I'm allowed to pull that little plug
Oh my
and put that
gosh.
switch on.
So that builds excitement. I really love that. I think that, we have to have something to look forward to. I, um, I would, I grew up, my grandparents, lived with them for a while, grew up with them and until I was about 10. But my grandmother, who I was very close to, they married in December 14th. So
Mm.
they would decorate the Christmas tree always got decorated on December 14th. And I remember growing up, everybody else had their Christmas tree up. And I'm like, I can't believe ours is not up yet. How come? And she would say, because it's not until our anniversary. And I just thought it was crazy. And then finally, listen to this. When I started and I grew up and I started to decorate my own tree, I started decorating it on the 14th. And I've been married for 12 years. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, I don't have my Christmas tree up for very long because it's only 10 days until Christmas. So every year I've been putting it up earlier and earlier so that I can have a little bit of Christmas merry, that I can enjoy the twinkling lights.
Well, yeah, the lights are are my thing. Like they're my jam. Like last year at the end of Christmas, like all the lights, come down and I'm like, but I really love the lights.
Mm,
And so I lost both of my parents.
I'm
My
sorry.
my mom 6 years ago, my dad 2 years ago.
Oh,
And my husband and my boys kind of make fun of me. It's we but they're I have this like really big mirror that my mother had
mhm,
was my grandmother's on my dad's side, and she got it framed just like
mhm.
she did with her mom's, and my sister got the other one, and then when she passed away, she had it in her thing that I should have that
Okay.
mirror. So it's really heavy and whatnot, and we have this like not even a half wall. I don't know. It's just like a little bit of a wall. Well,
Mhm.
it fits perfect there. When we got it, I was like, it's got to go there. Well, then,
Oh,
well, then it came with a shelf. So then, like the things I've given my mother that I got back, and things from the funeral, and like my husband, they call it the memorial area. And I'm like, well, when your parents pass away, we'll add them to it.
there you go. See,
But
you're thinking in
we
advance.
put the lights around it so I could have
Oh,
lights all year
I
around
love
if I
that.
wanted it.
So I have lights year round too. I have a 3-season porch and it's windows on three walls or windows. And I actually had my husband put the little twinkling lights, and it looks like a little curtain of lights. And I can go out there, and it's a little magical spot. And I love
Yes.
going in there; it's so fun. There's something about the little twinkling lights that makes a difference.
And then I also wanted to share with you, like, this is how, okay, I believe in God and I hope your
Mhm.
listeners do. And if you don't, I respect you. I'm not trying to cut, but this is how God works. You
Mm.
said December 14th, right?
Mhm. Yep.
That was their anniversary. My son, our oldest son, is getting married next year on December 14th.
Really? Oh,
Really?
congrats.
Like,
That's awesome.
what are the chances of that? I mean, like, seriously.
I will tell you, my grandparents had a beautiful love story, and it was wonderful, and I just believe it's a magical date. I probably would have gotten married on December 14th, except we got engaged in July, and I needed more time, especially because I lived in New York City at the time, and my husband was in Connecticut, and we were getting married in Connecticut. And I just, traveling back and forth to plan a
Yeah.
wedding remotely was not easy. So I just figure, you know what? I'll just celebrate their date. And that's a special day for me. I always remember them, and I think about all the things that they taught me. And I'm incredibly grateful that I had such great upbringing with them. And, so yeah, well,
That's
congratulations to
great.
your son.
Yes. And
I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah. As soon as you said that, I was like,
What are there is no coincidence. I call those God incidents,
those are God winks. Hello.
There you
We're in the
go.
right place and we're meant to connect.
I love it. I know that, you work with a lot of moms, and that you also, obviously you're a mom, you help them ignite their passions through health, wellness, and spirituality. But the one thing that I caught my eye, Janet, is that you talk about how you can lose yourself in motherhood.
Oh,
And I'd love for you to walk me through maybe your personal story. Did you lose yourself in motherhood?
yeah. And I still do sometimes. Because
Wow.
with my accident and surviving and getting a degree and then getting married and then we started a family, like we had agreed like I was to be the stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
And I loved it, but I also was I was that mother that when she went to the grocery store, I had a lot of words for the checkout lady because, I didn't have a lot of adult interaction.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
and so I kind of longed and I kind of looked for some things, but my husband was putting in a lot of hours and the kids were little. And so I just didn't go there. And
Yeah.
it was only and my life was all about them. Like everything I did all day was with them. I would
Yeah.
sit and I would watch cartoons with them and we would learn the stuff. And it was always, I was like the TV police. There was
Mm.
nothing non-educational on, and we were learning every day because we're supposed to learn something new every day.
Got it.
And if
Yeah.
it wasn't, we were learning the sign language that, for the babies and different things. And just that was my goal.
Mhm.
And I love that aspect of my life.
Yeah.
But when they all went to school, then it was like, okay, well, you can go get a job.
Right.
Well, getting a job has not always been easy
Yeah.
because of my disability and my limit. Well, no, I'm not going to own that title. I'm not sorry. I'm going to rephrase that.
I love that. Thank you.
Due to my challenges that I face in my everyday life, I physically like I'm great at customer service. I have a great personality for
You
it.
do.
I was always the greeter person at Bath and Body Works, but it's hard on me. It's hard on me physically.
Mhm.
And it got to a point where like when I was working 1 year at a retail at the holiday season, I was taking so much Advil, I made my stomach up. Like,
Oh, no.
they say you're not supposed to take so much Advil because it's hard on the stomach.
Yeah.
Well, it literally is. Okay.
Wow.
And so we had to find a different way.
Mhm.
And so, and then that ended and then another one, and I just I went through jobs and then I finally found one that I loved. I was
Mm.
working as a paraprofessional in
Okay.
mentally challenged classrooms for the county.
Okay.
Fabulous. But we got switched to a new school. The people and the students weren't as great.
Mhm.
And then they also didn't just have us in a mentally disabled room. We were in a cross categorical room where there were multiple challenges in one room, and there was a lot of physical, mental anguish every day. And
Wow.
I had to choose if that's what I wanted to continue after that school year or not. And they wanted to put me with emotionally disturbed elementary kids. And I was like, no, thank you.
It's tough and it takes a special person. And sometimes, we have limitations. And I know it's okay to know where your strengths lie.
Yeah. And that was a real developmental journey to realize that, what, I'm good for these kids, but I can't I can't give them my best. I can't do that. And also it wasn't financially going to be worthwhile. And I kind of started a home business in a different category. And I'm like, okay, I've got to make this work.
Yeah. I love that you're the can do kind of woman. I love that. I wanna kind of backtrack a little bit because I think that the listeners are hearing you talk a little bit about what you are, how did you get here, but there's another piece there that if you're open and willing to talk about it, because I think that it's important. Tell us a little bit about your brain trauma and your in what was that like? How did that happen? And what has been your journey?
Well, back 30 years ago, 3 decades ago, on a hot June afternoon, I was going up the highway to go see my cousin that was a physician because he was going to give me a tuberculosis check because I was going to be working at a daycare center to get educational credits for the College of Education. And 3 minutes south of the highway patrol, a young lady, a 16-year-old driver, and had her car filled with 5 other people. She decided to hit her boyfriend at that time that was pulling on her hair, and she lost control of her car and went through the grass median strip, went airborne, and went.
Wow.
Well, I can't make it as big as what it was.
So for the listeners who, Janet is trying to create a sound effects, but there's no way to create that type of sound effect because that's really serious. And wow,
And I was put into a coma immediately. Like it was self-induced. I was out. And the guy that I've been told, the gentleman in front of me could see her coming, and he sped up and he went to that highway patrol that was 3 minutes away and said there was a bad accident. I didn't see it, but I know there was a bad accident. You need to get help here now. And they had help there within like 5 to 10 minutes. And I wish I would have had the chance to say thank you and find out who that was. So if you would happen by God's gift be listening or know this man had at all, anyone that's listening, please extend the thank you and the gratitude that I am alive and I'm here. But I was in a coma for 4 days.
Wow.
And life support for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then I went to inpatient rehab for 7 weeks and a day. And that extra day is important because it just is.
Yeah.
And I was 20 years old.
Wow.
I had just finished my second year at the Ohio State University. And I was majoring in music education. And I had to relearn absolutely everything.
Wow.
Like the slightest thing that you would think about, I had to relearn it. Because my whole left side was paralyzed. I couldn't swallow. And I obviously couldn't sit up very well. I couldn't, I mean, I just really couldn't, and I couldn't see very well. I had double vision, not knowing I had double vision because I kept my left eye shut all the time, not knowing it. And it just, it was a hurdle, and I wanted to sleep all the time. And my mom was scared to heebie-jeebies. and how I was ever going to stay awake because all I wanted to do was rest. But that's how our bodies heal. And, the neurosurgeon had given my parents 3 places, a place in Pennsylvania, a place in Georgia, and then here at the Ohio State University at Dodd Hall. And obviously, because I live here in Ohio and I was a student there, my mom stayed in my apartment, and that made the most sense. And then on my last day when I was being released, because my freshman year, I had been part of the best damn band in the land, the Ohio State Marching Band. The squad leaders and the director, Dr. John Woods at that time, came and they played for me and my release. And I came out of the door and all of a sudden I heard jump, 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 bump, bump. And I knew exactly what that was. And I took off. And my mom was so worried I was going to fall and whatnot. And they had Channel 10 there to interview me. And also I had gone to high school with a gentleman that ended up making the NFL, Bob Hoying. And him and his little brother were quarterbacks at the Ohio State University at that time. And they interviewed him, and then they just asked me a question or whatever. And I just said, take every day and live it for what it is, because you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I think that the story is such a beautiful story of triumph, of, things just, God watching over you in so many different ways. I know that it must have been incredibly difficult for your family to have you be in a coma, go into recovery, and really not knowing. Tell me more about what was that healing process after how did you go back to life, right? Because there's no such thing as normal life, but what was your reintegration?
That's a good question. I then had to do 3 months of outpatient rehab, and the closest facility that they would allow me to go to was an hour away. And my oldest sister, is 14 years older than me, but she lived more than halfway-ish out of town. And my mom, this was the regimen. On Mondays, mom would take me down to therapy at Dayton.
Okay.
And then on the way home, we would stop at my sister's, and then I would spend the night.
Okay.
And she had 3 little kids at that time.
Wow.
And she left me stay there. And then on Tuesdays, then I would get up early, and then my sister would take me down to therapy. And then we'd come back, and then I'd spend the night again. And then on Wednesday morning, mom would come, and then mom would take me down for therapy again. And then we'd come home. And then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I had home therapy that I was supposed to do. And like, as simple as laundry is, like, it was like the most annoying thing. And that was always a thing that I was to do for therapy for fine motor. And I would get so mad because I couldn't fold it straight, or I couldn't, such a simple little thing that us now moms do. We're listening or talking to doing, and we do it mundanely. Well, I can do it that way now, but at that time, I mean, it was a really difficult task.
Of course, you had to relearn it. And I worked as a kindergarten preschool teacher, and at one point, seeing a little person begin to create fine motor skills takes a lot of time.
Try doing it again at 20.
Patience, and I think that's a little bit of, I could see that being really a challenge for you.
And it wasn't just physically; it was mentally.
Of course,
I knew I was 20.
You'd done it before.
I knew I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
But mentally, I was more like 13. And physically, I was like 80. Because I had been hit by a bus.
Yeah.
And so, and then after that, then I went back to the Ohio State University, and I audited a lot of classes. I maybe retook a class, and then I took one brand new class. I only went back part-time, but it was a child psychology course. Because I was still getting therapy there, and that it was with a grad student that was going to get her neuropsychology degree. But she had also been a speech pathologist for a lot of years prior to that. And so she worked with me, and I went to class, and Julie, like, he was talking, and I was like, I know I'm supposed to be writing something down, but what am I had to relearn how to take notes.
Yeah.
And then on top of I couldn't read because I had double vision. So I was waiting on my books to come on tape. They didn't come till like over halfway through. And I was wearing glasses on top of glasses and
how frustrating that must have been for you.
Well, but I can truly sit here and tell you I never focused on how hard it was, ever.
Amazing. And I think that must have helped you.
Yes, because if you told me I couldn't do it, I was so going to prove you wrong. Like that was fuel to the fire, man. This girl was going to, it might not be great, but I was going to do it. And you know what? We could use that across the world to just have an ounce of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's all about the mindset. It's telling yourself, not I can't do this, but really, how can I, and working to consistently show up to keep trying.
Yes. And yeah. And I mean, I literally, and I couldn't take tests really either. All I could do was sit down and tell you what I knew. Yeah. And thank goodness that professor worked with me,
That's
and
great.
then the next quarter, I had to go full time because of my financial aid. And it was hairy. To be very honest with you, I did it.
Yeah.
But thinking back on it, I would even really like to know how I did it.
Well, you had, I'm sure, a great support system and people rallying with you.
Yes, I did. And then my husband now was then my boyfriend. And we had dated almost 2 years to the day, and I was allowed to forget anything within 2 years. Well, I knew he was my boyfriend, and I knew that I had loved him. Right. But I didn't really know who he was. It was like starting all over. But then, if you remember, I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
But I'm mentally 13.
Wow.
And in a really old body. And he was my boyfriend. But there were a lot of times when I needed him to be not my boyfriend, but to be my kind of like a dad.
Right.
Because I was on my own. I was at college.
Right.
And there was a night that was dark. And I called him and I said, I'm calling you to say goodbye. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm done. I'm done with this.
Wow, Janet.
And he's like, what do you mean you're done with this? And I said, I hate who I am. I don't want to be here anymore. He's like, well, what are you saying? I said, I'm going to kill myself. And he says, you can't do that. And I said, well, he's like, well, how are you going to do it? Well, I didn't really know. So, what's the first thing you think of? Oh, I'm going to slice my wrist.
Right.
And so he's like, well, you need to let me come say goodbye. You owe me that much. And I thought, I do. Okay. I mean, like, really, I do.
Yeah.
And so he came and I had the knife in hand and he literally jumped me and he sat on me for 2 hours.
Wow.
And after 2 hours, like, it just, I cried really hard and I let it go. I let it go. And I know, and then I was fine after that. But, and then he went home and no one had shared with him that that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And he's like, you would think they would when we're 2 hours away.
Right.
Somebody would have told me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's hindsight. There were a lot of things that were going on. He also had been with me in the accident, and he received all physical injuries. And so he had his own
Right.
problems to deal
Wow.
with, along with this girl that had been, that
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing. What a story of triumph and of coming back from such, dire circumstances. But I really honor the work that you have done. I honor the way that, you had this wonderful support around you from your mom, your sister, to your boyfriend, now husband. And
Yes.
how many years have you been married, Janet?
26 years.
Wow. Beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I can imagine that having gone through so much together has created a very unique bond for both of you.
Yeah. There's yeah.
Yeah.
It's if I could get paid in my life, how many times he's looked at me and said, "Janet, there's no other Janet. There's no one else in this world like you." Which
So beautiful.
there's no one else in this world like Julie either.
Yeah.
But I understand the context and where it's coming from.
Right.
But God is starting to drizzle other people that have been through the traumatic head injury and the trauma into my life, and it's really special. And I know, if I may share one more thing
Yeah, of course. No, this is about you, please.
about the whole thing is during those, sometime within those 4 days, whether it was within split seconds, I can't tell you when, but there was a moment I had seen. At that time, I didn't remember it, but after the fact, I remember I was seeing the light. I saw the tunnel. I saw the paradise, and I was
Wow.
really tired. I was like, I'm tired. And Jesus said, "You're going to be okay."
Wow.
And I went, "Oh,
Okay.
okay." And so I know here in my heart, and through prayer and adoration, that I would not be sitting here today if Jesus hadn't told me I was okay. I was going to be okay.
What a beautiful story.
I would have died without any doubt.
What a beautiful story, Janet. I think that this testament that faith is one of these important things that can help carry us through some very difficult times. Thank you again for sharing that, because I know that for many people, it's difficult to kind of relive some of these experiences. But I believe that there's power for whoever might be listening to this to hear that there is hope, even in the most dire of circumstances.
Well, and I always like to say one other thing is that it's God's story. I just was the one that He chose to tell it.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Because it really is. It's His story, and I just and He's helped guide me all the way through this. I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be in this situation because I wasn't supposed to get beyond the nursing home.
Amazing. And now look at you. You're in a place in which not only you have a family, you've built a family, a home with your husband, but you are also an entrepreneur, and you're helping other women as well get healthy and find themselves in the moments, right? And we all struggle from time to time, but you've turned this triumphant story into helping others laugh, thrive, and empower. It's such a beautiful mission that you have to help other moms, and I know that you really use your faith, and that's one of the things that is a staple of what you do. And you also remind people that without your health, they don't have anything, right? And that there's so
Yes.
much. Tell us a little bit of how you help women that are struggling maybe with their health or feeling lost and disconnected from who they are. And how do you allow them and guide them to discover their potential, heal their faith, their body, and increase their faith?
Well, with health, I have a health and wellness business that has wonderful whole food plant-based products that have changed my life and
Mm.
have changed many other people's lives. And our latest product is literally something that almost one in three households needs, not just once, but needs, because it's a safe alternative to help people
Mm.
with a solution
Oh,
that
wow.
hasn't existed prior to this.
Mm.
And then also, we focus on feeling good from the inside out, which goes right along with the mindset.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of years, they said it had to come from the inside out, and I was kind of like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What
Absolutely.
what does that mean?"
Oh, it has to come from the inside out. I think that this is one of the things that people, think that changes overnight. They also think that, okay, I'm going to change the outside, but then, it's not a sustainable change.
Yeah, no, it
And
doesn't matter
that's, yeah.
how many fancy toys and how many courses and how
Mhm.
many whatevers or how many calories you eat. It doesn't matter if you
Yeah.
don't start diving from the inside. And I have, with my life coaching certificate,
Mhm.
I am a licensed, certified miracles coach, which is the Joe
Mm.
Vitale's, um, coaching is what
Mhm.
it was based off of. And we really I have 12 modules, and we like to go through a module a week. And, there's some weeks that it's really intense,
Mhm.
but I will work with them, and I want to help embrace them and to help encourage them. But the foundation truly is set in presence
Wow.
and being in the now.
Mhm. Beautiful.
And the more you dive into it and are open to it, the better it gets.
Mm, so inspirational. I love that, you're guiding individuals through this, and you yourself are a certified coach. I know that people that are listening are amazed as I am about your story. Um Tell me, in the gifts that you have now, I'm sure you're incredibly grateful to be here to touch the lives. And I think that, you were definitely here created to make an impact on the lives of others. But do you ever revisit, or did you ever have connection with the young woman who um who was in the accident?
Yes. Um, it's when someone hits you and
Hmm.
it's not your fault in the world that we live in, your insurance requires to be paid back. And so we had to
Hmm.
do litigation. Okay.
Okay. Mm,
Not, because we didn't grow up being that type of person, but
yeah.
the insurance did not allow it any other way.
Yeah.
Well, we were in litigation for quite a while,
Mm.
and I forget. That's been many moons ago. That's like 4 lives ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
You've lived a lifetime since.
but where they a deposition. They did a
Mhm.
deposition with her, and they asked her questions, and I wanted to be there, and my mother and my husband and, well, then boyfriend, everybody, like everyone that knew me was like, "Oh, no, you don't.
Mm.
You don't want to be there." And
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I I know her mother had come to the rehab hospital
Mhm.
in that first week I was there, and she brought me, I can remember vaguely that she brought me a dozen roses, and she stood at the foot of my bed and just kept saying over and over, "We kept praying you. We were praying for you. We are so sorry. My daughter, I am so sorry." And then like a zillion years later, we're outside in the summer and I'm doing sweet corn with my mom. And I said, "Mom, I wasn't very nice to that young lady's mother, was I?" And she's like, "No, you were really agitated. That was the one time that we saw the agitation from the injury and that.
Yeah.
And I had to tell her to please leave because because I was trying to figure out what happened to me. I mean,
Right.
because like I didn't know, and all I know is I wasn't who I was.
Yeah.
But I went to that deposition.
It took a lot of courage.
But you know what? I'm probably a unique individual because I walked away from that and my heart went out to her because she sat there. She was 16 years old. 16, 7, by then maybe 17.
Yeah, 17.
I don't know.
Possibly, yeah.
But she sat there and she just cried and cried. And she was looking at me and knowing that she almost killed me.
Wow.
And she had to live with that. And I came home and I was crying because I was like, I'm not sure I could handle that.
Yeah,
at that
it's
age.
a lot. It's a lot to carry.
Yeah. And I've never made contact. There was one time when I kind of wanted to, and it was like, I forget how many years. And Fred was like, "No, don't." And I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like, "Okay." But I just wanted to let her know I was okay. So also, I won't use names because I respect names.
Yeah.
But if anyone knows this lady and happens to hear this, please let her know I am doing well and I am blessed.
What a beautiful message. Janet, I am in awe of you. It is such a honor to have you share a little bit of your story. It's incredibly inspirational. Our choices in our lives matter. And it's important to know that no matter what we encounter, there are going to be people that come alongside of us. And even in the darkest of moments, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And
Yes.
love it. I appreciate you. You're doing some wonderful work. How do people connect with you, Janet?
I can be found on Facebook, and Shane is my last name, but it doesn't look like it. It's Schoen. And then in parentheses, you'll see Janet Gadamoller, which is really long. Every third letter is an E. Shane. And please drop me a message in Messenger or on Instagram. I am Janet_M_Shane, all in lowercase.
Okay.
And also, I have a website, www.janetshane.com.
Well, we're going to have all of that information in the show notes. We're incredibly grateful and honored that you came to share your story, your journey. And I know there's someone listening to this and they're going to be inspired. If you are someone that has suffered some trauma, or a mom that has worked really hard to create a home and support their children and yet has lost sight of who they are and what they want for their lives, and it's looking to bring back health, bring back laughter, and bring back that vitality, I think that Janet is a perfect companion to walk along the side in this journey with you. So make sure that you connect with Janet and tell her that you found her through the Confident You Radio. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much, Julie. It's been a pleasure to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
No, it is my pleasure, and I can't wait to see what amazing things you create in this world. So don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Thanks for listening to Casa de Confidence. We thank you for listening, and if you want more, go to CasaDeConfidencePod.com. Check Julie out on her socials as Julie DeLucca-Collins. And you can also check out her website at GoConfidentlyCoaching.com. Have a great week, and don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all, but the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business, push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.